Welcome to Kimbia MIssion Academy.
What makes our school different from the world school? Look, I'm going to preach.
So you may be preaching today and pouring cement tomorrow, and then the next day you may be steering our riverboat up the river.
I am loving it here. I do not want to leave.
When young people come to this environment, whether they come from Georgetown, from the cities, or from other parts of the country, we expect them to be changed because that's what God promised.
It's a high school, secondary school, except for it has a little twist.
Am I talking to you or the camera? Well, Kimbia MIssion Academy, it's a boarding academy. We have two dormitories, a boys' dorm and a girls' dorm, obviously. Right now, we enrolled up to about 50 students. That's an optimum number for us because our staff are volunteers. So every year, we typically get volunteers from around the world.
I'm from England. I came across the seas. I didn't get into the university that I wanted, and I thought I'm definitely going to take a year off school because I've been studying.
The Lord moves upon hearts, and people come and volunteer their time for a year or two. So with 50 students, Jody and I have agreed that if no one comes, we could teach that number of young people.
So we're here teaching math and science and English and all of the other subjects just as you would take in high school. We also teach Bible. But we're also trying to train all of them to be missionaries. We believe that even at this young age, they're able to impact a larger group of young people better than we as adults can. So they go on mission trips, they preach, they stand before churches, they erect tents, they hold crusades, and they also go to help in the community. So they are doing building, some of them will do some massage therapies, everything that you can name.
What we found is that balance gives these students an opportunity to grow not only academically, but socially and physically every day from 3 to 5. We all work on the campus, the staff and students. We spend 2 hours either in the garden or building buildings like this, construction, or working in the kitchen and things like that. So every day that's what we're out doing, and we get to know the students that way.
I've enjoyed being here, especially working in the garden, like knowing to plant and you know, like enjoying watching the plants grow every day, passing through the dining hall and just seeing changes in the plants bearing fruits and everything. In classes, it's nice to have teachers actually coming to teach us. I've enjoyed being with them, sharing experiences with them.
We're trying to teach them something beyond theory, beyond academics, beyond algebra and the things that you would normally learn. And as Jody and I look at our students after they've graduated, and it becomes more profound when we get visitors from North America, young people their age, and our 13-year-olds are instructing an 18-year-old on how to properly use a chainsaw or cut wood or mix cement or repair a diesel engine and these sorts of things. That's when we're like, well, these kids are advanced. And we've learned a lot. My son, who's 14 now, he understands what it means to go out into the bush and survive. And it wasn't some sort of scary boot camp training. It's just par for the course here. That's just what we do. When we go on Pathfinder trips, my wife and I, interesting story, my wife and I had a Pathfinder club in the States, and we went to Oshkosh, and we had a couple of U-Hauls full of veggie links and portable refrigerators and all those sorts of things, and we thought we were camping, brand new tents. Well, we had the Pathfinder Club here, and we went on our first camping trip, and we were watching our Pathfinder Club pack. And they had a big aluminum pot and a couple of machetes, and they said, let's go. And when we got there, they cut the frame for a makeshift tent They went, dug the toilet and built a little outhouse, and this was within 3 hours of being out there. These are 13-year-olds, and my wife and I were like, whoa, this is a far cry from our first international camporee.
I think, honestly, what makes our school a little more different is the environment that we're in. It's a very captive audience because we don't have all of the luxuries that you have in other places. And because of that, the children have been able to grow quite a bit. I think also because of that, it has inspired many of them to want to do what we do, to be the missionaries, to go out to other countries and say, I can help somebody. I can do exactly what I saw someone else doing for a while. And we do have those students that say, okay, when I graduate, I'm going to come back and I'm going to teach for a year. I'm going to volunteer free for a year because you made this sacrifice, and if God will keep you, He'll keep us. So they've learned for themselves to rely upon the Bible, and I think that's our ultimate goal and our reward in itself, that they have that desire. God actually brought my husband Warren and I here about 7, 8 years ago, November.
I came on a short-term mission trip, and I spent 3 weeks here alone. Left my job for 3 weeks and came with a Laurelbrook group to build this school here in Kimbia. We started with the footings, just digging trenches, and during that 3-week period, the Lord really spoke to me. He basically told me it's time to leave corporate America and move to the mission field. I hadn't spoken to my wife in 3 weeks, and on the way back to Trinidad, we stopped and used the telephone and called her, and she sensed that something was up, and she asked me, were we moving to Guyana?
He called me on the phone in Trinidad and said, Joe, I think the Lord wants us to go to Kimbia to be administrators, to build the school as well as operate a high school, teaching the children your subjects, areas where they really don't have the opportunity now. Well, after much prayer and agonizing with the Lord, we sold everything, houses and cars and other things, all of our furnishings, and about 8 months later, we moved.
We were here in Guyana in November with a half-built academy, no walls, no floors, and the Lord blessed. 2 months later, we started day school, and we've been here ever since.
I thought when I came down here to Guyana, South America, that I was coming to help these poor, underprivileged children to obtain an education. But what I have found, as well as countless other people that have crossed this piece of path that the Lord has actually placed in Guyana, is that this mission field has helped me to grow. In this type of environment, you actually get to see all of your defects on a daily basis. You encounter so many people with so many different needs, and it requires so much of your unselfish service. And at times, that's very difficult. I wasn't accustomed to doing that in the United States. I would see my friends and we'd just talk about that, but then you would go your separate ways. But on a daily basis with the children as well as with the community, the Lord places in front of you things that you need to actually work out in your character. A lot of patience, a lot of understanding, a lot of being very sympathetic, as well as a lot of faith. Being able to still stay here and endure when the money's short, or the water's almost gone, or there's no food growing in the garden, but just relying upon Him, knowing that He's still going to provide for me. And I have seen that happen in these 8 years. He's always provided, a lot of times before time.
A bigger testimony for me, what being here has done for our children. It's given them clarity in terms of choices in life. Being in an environment that's free from the distractions, the typical distractions of a young Seventh-day Adventist, young person. It's not so here. So they see the impact that a person could make when they are being led by the Holy Spirit. They've seen a number of times how God has provided for us in a real tangible way when, you know, we have 80 people on this campus and we're on our knees praying and we don't know how we're going to provide, and the kids are right there praying with us, and they see how God continues to sustain us. And that gave them sort of a strength of character that is very rare in young people their age.
Bruise the head, right? Yeah, bruise the head. Bruise the head.
You are not? No, you're going to dig a hole right there and bury him. And please cut off his head.
You're taking the Bible literally.
I am very serious. Cut off his head and dig the hole and then and bury him, please. Just going to throw him in the river so he can just like float along by some nice little lady bathing and doesn't know that he's dead, you know? It's like, help me.
One of the fantastic things about being here in self-supporting work is that it's open for everyone. Anyone who wants to come. Many times we get emails and phone calls saying, well, what could I do? You know, what do you need? And my rebuttal to that is, what do you want to do? We're looking for those who are interested in serving. You don't have to be a skilled carpenter, even though that would be great, or a skilled mechanic. That would be fantastic. But if you're willing, there's so many opportunities, especially for young people.
Oh wow, being a dean is, it's crazy. There's so many dimensions to being a dean. You have to be like the big sister, you have to be the counselor, the advisor, you have to protect the girls from all sorts of problems that they go through, and it takes a lot, but it has shaped me as a person. I realized that for me to be effective in helping them, I need to have the Lord working in my life first. So I have to spend so much more time with the Lord to help myself and to help them.
I have several friends that I converse with in the States all of the time, and they always say, oh man, your kids sound like they're doing so well down there and everything. I need to send my child with you. And I always tell them, you need to. There's an experience down here that is wonderful. I think that all of the United States children need to come on a mission trip. It really does build their character. They really do have a great time, you know, with it. They will learn to be of service and to give.
I'm taking back home a stronger relationship with the Lord, which I never thought I could have. I used to be content with life, like, you know, you wake up, you go to church, that's it, and church really, the spiritual life is Sabbath really, and that's really it. But I think I've drawn closer to the Lord. I've realized I can only depend on Him.
I would totally encourage every mother, every father, every church to get a youth group together and, you know, just come down. There is a lot that can be done, not to really think that they're too young or too small. Everything can be done here. Remember, we deal with 12-year-olds, and they build, they hammer, they paint, they do everything on our campus in this self-supporting environment. So there's something that every child, every person can actually do. Don't be afraid. My kids are fine. You know, don't worry about the snakes and the lions and the tigers and bears or whatever. We've actually made it here all of this time, and the Lord will never, ever send you where He won't keep you.
We've had young people from England, from Australia, from the Philippines, from Africa. We've had them from all over, and their lives are changed. So we want to encourage those who are interested, regardless of what your skill set is. If you're interested and willing, we would love to have you.
I've grown spiritually here, and I thought I was pretty connected in the United States. We were working in the church, Pathfinder, director, AY, leader, church clerk, treasurer, you name it. I think it was everything except for the pastor and an elder in the church. And here, it made me realize how far I really was from God, how much more, a greater faith I needed, and a closer relationship I needed to develop with God. And I'm glad that He allowed me to have this growth experience. I feel that I'm connected to Him. I'm closer to Him. And I know it's because He's allowed me to see all of the little miracles. I know it's because I've been able to appreciate the little things like water and a tomato growing in the garden, and knowing that He has supplied all of my needs, my children's needs, my husband's needs, as well as the people in this community that we chose to help. So I'm grateful for Him. Thank you. Lord, thank you.